When people think that they can do anything and get away with it at the expense of the taxpayer, then that is sheer wickedness. Sack all of them, including the head coach. Sack him. That Amma Mahama boy, who is he? Permitted him to take only 3 natural defenders to the tournament. Jimmy Beno
for 6. Hello everyone and welcome to the Mallam Goal podcast. I nearly greeted with the time of the day in mind, but of course, some of you are going to watch it in the afternoon, some at night, some on your morning commute to your weekend schedule. This is the Mallam Goal podcast. My name is Victor Achutamaklo, sitting in for Fentio Tahiri and then Sichope Achim Philip, who have to be elsewhere on urgent business. But with me today, to my right, Christopher Nimley, coach, is here, and then Daniel Cranton. Good day, gentlemen, and welcome.
Sweetly fantastic.
Good day, my brother.
We are going to start with the black satellites. So we'll talk about the black satellites and try to make sense of everything that happened in Egypt. Coach,
also,
after 4 games, I have to say, the team on the brink of one spot kick away from returning to the World Cup after 10 years. So close, yet so far away. Losing to Egypt on penalty shootouts last Monday.
Actually, to be honest with you, I was so down. And I was sad. I was angry. I couldn't control my emotions. Yes. And I will explain both.
Okay.
I was sad and angry. And look, my wife probably would be the best person to explain the situation. Because I remember on that day, I left work a bit early because I wanted to have because I was so confident that we'll qualify because I had watched the Egyptian team. They virtually struggled to qualify. They only qualified based on the fact that they had 5 teams in their group. They qualified on the last day of their group games. It tells you how poor they were. We were not blistering as a team. We were not overly entertaining as a team. But I could look at what the Egyptians had offered in the tournament and what we had offered so far. And I could boldly say that, look, when we show up, we'll beat these guys who are in the World Cup. We're in the World Cup after 10 years. By the time I got home and I sat down to turn on my television, we're 2-0 down. I couldn't believe it. And I was, what happened? What happened? Okay, let's watch. So I watched. And then we scored some few minutes to recess. So now it was during the recess that I got a chance to watch the 2 goals that we had conceded. I said, what? In the most important game of the tournament, you give away 2 silly goals. That is the only word I can use to describe those goals conceded by the team. 2 silly goals.
But coach, they are at that age, mistakes like that.
You see, don't talk age matter. Because when you talk age matter, I will say things that I shouldn't say.
Why is that?
This is the foundation to the Black Stars.
Yes.
This is the people, they guarantee the future of the Black Stars. And as a country, we've benefited from the under-20 so much so well that I consider them to be very mature players. If it's under 17, under 15, I'll forgive that. These mistakes you don't even see at coach level here in Ghana. I've been doing coach for the past 28 years. I don't remember the last time my goalkeeper together with my defenders were so indecisive to concede such goals. Let alone players that we've been told are the best under 20 players in Ghana. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we don't commit mistakes in football. I could have forgiven them, it was only one. But that same situation repeated itself what? Twice. We consider the same. One route one in confusion, goalkeeper, then we call another route one, confusion, nobody decided, then nobody ready to take responsibility. But let's put that aside. I think we brought this upon ourselves. You see, Ghana, we are far from being truthful in the things we do.
In what sense?
Oh. What way are no quali? Do you understand that, guy? And for me, if you are working for Ghana and you are dishonest, when exposed, you should be sacked. You should be fired. I repeat, If you are work, even if it's your own job, is it when you are if you've invested, you are a businessman, or you've put your money into something and you are dishonest towards your own money, what happens to your business?
Collapse.
It will collapse. And when the business collapses, people are out of job. You who have invested that huge sums of money, your money goes what? Waste. So the point I'm making is that from day one, me personally, and I know you, Danny, sitting here, we all do not understand how the management, the FA, my own friend and brother Desmond and his entire technical team, we don't understand how they came out with this crop of players to be the best.
Hold on the squad. We'll come to the squad. But in that second half that you saw, did Desmond Ofe manage that game as well as he could have? And even the extra time and the shootouts?
Desmond's demeanor that day was not motivating.
It was not inspiring.
At all. Watch him. When we consider the first 2 goals, he just sat there, completely dejected, perplexed, not knowing what to do. I would have thought that knowing him, if your team is down in the most important game of the tournament, that is where these boys will be looking forward to you for some form of what? Inspiration. So your body language as a coach on the touchline was very, very instrumental. But rather, he went and sat and he allowed his assistant to come forward. No. Wrong message sent to the playing body. It's like, what are these guys doing? This was not part of the script. Yes, it wasn't supposed to be part of the script. But it's happened. So as the leader of the entire playing body, what do you do? What do you do? I think that was the time where you should have just, let them feel your presence, that you are in charge. And naturally, you want to send a message across. Everybody, calm down. Restore your adrenaline level. And therefore, let's go again. Then you begin to encourage. You begin to do this. Maybe the first 5-10 minutes, you micromanage the situation. Then you begin to push. When they see you as a coach, very energetic and very inspiring, they look at Charlie, we need to do something. Charlie, we need to do something.
Let's respond to that.
They respond. It's a natural trend, a natural phenomenon. They will respond to it. Go watch him in all the other games. I think he stood there throughout. Maybe he'll come and sit in the last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, then somebody. But in this particular game, I think he gave up too early. Now, when he gave up too early and we're able to rescue the situation, I thought that
would have given him some energy.
And look, the impetus, or he should have just energized himself again and come again. But still, he looked a bit subdued. And I was asking myself, no, this is not my brother. This is not the Desmond I know. And you see, the moment the players begin to see you, and I'm very sure that most of the players had not seen him like that before. And then the icing on the cake was during the penalty shootout. How on earth can that player who rescued the situation in the 90-something minutes, look at the pressure on the boy. Look at how composed he was in executing that penalty that restored parity 2-2. How on earth? Let's say it might have escaped Desmond.
But the assistant should have seen it.
Jesus Christ. Did the boy say he will not be part of the first 5? I don't think he said so. He couldn't have said so. He couldn't have said so. And even if he had said so, as a coach, you should have insisted. How on earth was that boy not part of the first 5 penalty takers? How? Can anybody logically explain that to me or to the people of Ghana? How? When Asamoah missed the penalty, you want to argue that is the Black Stars. When Asamoah missed the penalty against Uruguay in 2010, he was so we had enough to have gotten the boy to rescind his, if assuming he said he wouldn't take the penalty. Gemini, you tell him, you remember 2010, Asamoah missed when we could have, but he came out and stepped up, he took the first penalty. So come and go and slot it in. And what was the problem there? He was not even going to face the same goalkeeper he had faced in a regulated time. He was facing a completely different goalkeeper. So I couldn't, and that is coaching. Up to now, I blame Avram Grant and Max Okunedu why we didn't win the 2015 AFCON against Cote d'Ivoire. Do you know I blame them?
Why so?
We're from Afriye Aqua and Co.
The shootouts.
Yes. There was no evidence of them in a competitive game doing that. But we had players on the bench, or players not being part of the top 5, who had faced such situation before.
Afriye Aqua had never taken a professional.
He has never.
Before that.
But we had Harrison Hafo. We see him take penalty as Esperance. Even at juvenile level, we had Ajiman Bedu and Co. And then I completely disagree with the substitution of a Samajan in that game. The captain of the team, because he's missed the penalty, if Ashama had been part of the first 5, we win that cup hands down. So that is the importance of coaching. You are the coach of the team so that under such situations, you calm down your nerves. You see, you should be the most calm person among the group. That is where you can encourage. That is where you can motivate. That is where you can inspire people to go and get the job done. So again, on the day where it matters most, I think we were let down by the quality of the coaching. Nobody can dispute that. Okay. And my own brother, when he goes back and he looks at himself, how he handled the situation,
he will not be impressed.
No, he cannot be impressed.
Wrap up for me on the point you wanted to make earlier about the squad and the management of the squad. If you can explain that.
Everybody who was involved in one way or the other in tinkering, this is what I call mass tinkering of our team, should either resign or be sacked. It includes the management. It includes the technical team. I mean, I won't take them out. Look, you know me, I've said this. If my wife, Susan Obribia Nimle, is not capable, get out. When it comes to Ghana, it's not about this is my friend, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my wife, and so what? I don't do my things like that. You see, if you do that, you're not going to hold people responsible when they prove to be what? Incompetent or not up to the task. Atu, how can we as a country? This tournament comes up every 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
We play every 2 years. How can we as a country, in building the next under-20 team, we go after players knowing very well that by the time the competition will be up, they will be out of the age bracket? Jesus Christ. Is it the first time we are building an under-20 team? Is it the first time we are building a team for under-20?
Who were those players?
Oh. Are you not aware that some of the boys were not taken to the tournament because they had overgrown the age limit? Are you not aware? If you say you are not aware, then tell me you are not aware. So that the people watching back Mallam Goal podcast would see you and see you good. Tell me. I'm not the one to be saying this. You are on top of it. In fact, if I ask you to give me the names of those people, you can produce all of them for me. You understand what I'm saying? You don't do that. That is wickedness. Because look, Ghana, we have under 15, we have under 17, we have under 18, we have under 20. True or false?
Yeah.
True.
In fact, there is another youth competition starting next week, right?
Yeah.
So, the issue of we selecting players and they overgrowing the tournament is neither here or there. Look,
I've seen that before.
Jesus Christ. Sack all of them, including the head coach. Sack him. What sort of, this is what we call causing financial loss to the state. Where are those boys? Oh, you see, maybe
But
the way I say.
Is it not like those mistakes can happen? And I think perhaps the management.
If you say those mistakes can happen,
I'm saying
then
that.
you yourself, you are a suspect.
No, hold on. I'm saying that.
I'm saying you are a suspect.
Okay,
Today, in the position, you are not here to talk. I'm the one talking. So listen.
Now,
if you are
I'm saying
accepting,
that to ask you a question.
don't ask me any question on that. Hey, DK, tell this man. If he's saying that those are mistakes, that can be.
No.
So correct yourself.
So the question I'm asking is that kind of mistake on the coach's part because he's not used to it.
No.
Maybe the bigger responsibility has to be on the management committee.
They are all
Who will
culpable.
tell him that.
No.
This player that you've selected based on his age.
No. Are you telling me if I coach Nimley with my level of education, Desmond Ofe with his level of education and exposure, he will close his eyes on these things? What are you talking about? DK, don't laugh. I'm serious on this matter. What are you talking about? At Desmond, look, he hosts a what? UEFA what? Like, Jesus Christ. I paid dollars to get my coaching badges when I was in the US. The other day I was on the program with the general secretary. He was questioning my coaching credentials. So you don't know what you're about. I paid thousands of dollars to educate myself in coaching. My certificates are there. I don't hold a UEFA, but if you go to the United States, I hold a coaching license B. Do you know how much that costs? Charlie, come and fix this thing for me. What is wrong with your thing? Oh. Okay, now go there. Good. The fact
Could
of
wrap
the...
up for me now.
Oh, don't tell me to wrap up. This is a serious matter. What is wrong with this man?
But at some point, you have to conclude.
No, but don't tell me to wrap up.
I'm just saying, cut the side issues.
No, what I'm saying is that
Fire straight.
I'm fiery straight.
Uh-huh.
Anybody, the man, you see, when people think that they can do anything and get away with it at the expense of the taxpayer, then that is sheer wickedness. Actually, what I'm saying is, anybody who was involved in putting up a team that could not be available, players that could not be available when the tournament shows up, on the grounds that their ages had gone past the age of the tournament, those people should be sacked. Unless you don't want to be honest. 2, you and I know, all of us sitting here, when it came to selecting players for the team, there were some players on the list who never showed up for the tournament, true or false? Don't laugh. You see, when we are talking Ghana and I'm hitting, that's all what meaning more. Don't laugh. Jesus Christ, Ghana, we couldn't do proper negotiation to get the clubs to bring. If the clubs were being difficult, it's Katukraku, the management, my brother, are they telling me that out of the 48 Division 1 teams we have in this country, the 18 Premier League teams we have in that country, we couldn't get a replacement? And then I'll say something that most of you have never said. I'll say, that Ama Mahama boy, who is he? Oh, no,
Which Ama Mahama?
Oh, don't behave as if you don't know who.
Ibrahim Ahmed.
That's it.
Yeah.
The Ama should he have been in this team?
Wait.
Why
You
shouldn't
know,
he have been?
relax.
Zuku, he doesn't meet up to the
I'm saying
standard.
that.
Nobody can convince me.
We saw just about 2 minutes of him.
Relax.
Ebo Modeng.
Do you know for sure?
Chala.
You said Ibrahim Ahmed. Do you know
They
for
say
sure?
look,
Who's this?
listen, my checks tell me this is not crime. My checks tells me that he's the nephew to the president's brother, true or false.
So he's
Unless
not
I'm
his son. So
he's not his son, he's his nephew. Why did he get into the team? You see, Ghana, what way are Nukwale? Because we are dishonest in the things we do. That is why we continue to suffer.
But namely, we saw just 2 minutes of him in the
That should even tell you that in the game against Equatorial Guinea or Central African Republic, Central African Republic, a game that at the time we were comfortably leading and winning, we had qualified about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I question where he plays his football. Okay, try Mahama Academy at Medina, and I told the people of this country, the Mahama Academy that he plays for, which is a second division team, can anybody convince me? So I went, I did my research. Even if he's not up to the standard required. And the sports journalists, you see, when it comes to national team, whoever you select for a tournament should be a game changer. The person should go out there, should be capable of making an impact. That is why he should be there. But if it is about to please somebody because of position, absolute nonsense. Nonsense out of the taxpayer. Do you know who that boy, for the fact that boy, do you know who he prevented from being in the team? Somebody that could have gone and made an impact. Even Ofe doesn't even trust in the boy. So he will bring in on 2 minutes in the game that we are already 2 minutes, 3 minutes, about trouble. We are not honest. And for me, what I'm saying is that, Achu, if you look at everything that transpired, we're hoping that we'll qualify to the World Cup. But truth be told, we did not deserve to qualify to the World Cup. Because this is the worst preparation I have seen of any juvenile team in Ghana. You pick one team, they play in the All-African Games. Some of them, because of age, you sack them. You take another team to go and play in the WAFU. They qualify, you sack them. Then you go and bring another team. Technically, how many weeks did this team play together? Not even 3 weeks. Not even 3 weeks. And you were hoping you do Frefrekobo and go and qualify to a tournament. Sasa. What they have done, they have jeopardized the future of the Black Stars for the next 5 to 6 years. Do you know that?
Okay.
That's the impact. How old is Thomas Partey? How old is Jordan? How old is Jiku? How old? You see, some of the key players of the Black Stars are 30 plus. As a country, where are we expecting
And
to
they should
replace
have been
them?
the conveyor belt.
No more. They should have been the replacement tournament for them. Because if this boy had qualified to some of them could have even gone to the World Cup. I'm telling you. The World Cup proper in the US, if we qualify. Then no, they've taken over. Look at what you have done. I support my brother Ofe in thick and thin. But me, like I said, I don't have permanent friends. All of us here are very close. If they put you there today, you misbehave, I would say they should sack you. So if I can say they should sack you, I'm telling you. But Ketokreku will not sack Ofe. If he decides, you see, Ofe is Ketokreku boy. We all know that. But Ofe as an individual is a unique personality who has gone through his proper education and knows what he's about. I told him to stand his ground against certain decisions. But I have said, because, and then he should leave. Listen, 2 things. Either he's with Otoado or he's with under 20. Simplicity. Going forward, if the FA decide to keep him, he should decide. There were times where the team were training and he was with the Black Stars, gallivanting, moving everywhere. Why? Who were those looking at the players for him? Who were those passing those final judgment on certain players? So he came and then he accepted based on the report given to him for an assistant. You don't do football like that. So the point I'm making is that it's either he's with the Black Stars or he's with, look, any country that jokes with the under 20, Achu, decay. If you joke with your under 20 team, Paul Pogba and co, where did they come from? Tony Cruz and co, where did they come from? This Pedri and Gavi and co, where did they come from? If you joke with your under 20 team, if you are so compromising on selecting the best for your under 20 team, you are jeopardizing the future of the Black Stars. Me, I'm a Ghanaian. I support Ghana. But if you line up all our national team, the under 20 is the team I support. Because it guarantees me the end product. The Black Star is the end product. So as a chemist, that which ensures that when I go to the lab and I'm performing my experiment, I get my end product is where I concentrate on the most. Not the end product itself, because the end product is dependent on what I take to the lab and the processes I subject my reactions to. So if I'm going to do reactions, what is the quality of my end product? No, I'm a disappointed. And that's what Ketokreku did. I don't know. Since you took over, if you dare think of going for a third, you see some of it in the court. They are taking people to court. Take us to court. If you, after this year, I count 2 years. Listen to me where I'm looking to the camera. 2 years. After 2 years, your reign, it's come to an end. We'll judge you based on your legacy. So far, legacy, Papa Bain. Zuku legacy. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Coach. So I picked a few things from him. He was not happy with how Ofe managed the game, particularly the second half. He was not happy with the processes that led us to the tournament itself and says there has to be consequence from the FA president to the management committee to the coach himself. And then on Ofe, he says Ofe has to pick his poison. Either Black Stars assistant coach or head coach of the
let me just say one more thing. You see, they should pay Ofe. They don't pay under 20. So Ofe then, if he's with not only Ofe alone, all the juvenile coaches, they are not being paid. Honorable Kofi Adams. Because if I'm Ofe and you are not paying me here, and here is where I'm going to get something small to chop,
I'll take it.
I come here, yeah. Me chimo akekpamble. You understand that one? Me chimo akekpamble. Do you understand?
Also, did you know you, man?
They be said me and I'm the called VAR down. I'm going to
And I was going.
those days, yeah, papa, no mo pay na or fa obanu na. Na obana te wese no di the chi. Satan wa me. Me chimo akekpamble.
Yeah.
I come then one at 20. Who in this country when Pakwesi Febi obviously admitted that Yantranika and he's been living on the money by managers of players. Why can you do that?
Okay. Well said, Coach. Daniel, Nimli has raised questions about he says even the quality of the preparations. And there was something that last week, in fact, before our first game, I was thinking about it on game plan, but because I was on the other side, I couldn't really talk about it. The idea that we knew the end goal from the beginning. Yet, in the last 2 years, we've had almost different sets for the African Games, the World Championships.
And then this one.
Not just this, but for the Four Nation tournaments.
Yes, I even forgot about that.
For the
Four
Four
Nation
Nation tournaments.
who took them
And then now,
to Germany.
the main tournaments that we thought.
Different players.
Am I just trying to, is it exaggerated or are we exaggerating things when we say that maybe this approach was doomed to fail from the beginning?
Okay. With the whole African Games and to AFCON squad thing, yes, there will be one or two players who obviously will not make the age range. But to be frank, if the player at the time of the African Games was eligible and is talented enough, I understand why they made the team. Somebody like Mahmoud, he was 20 as at the start of this competition, wasn't eligible to play, but he was brilliant at the African Games, probably one of the best players in the competition. So you understand.
Which name is that?
Mahmoud, he used to play for Hearts of Lions,
Yeah, right,
or something like that. But Mahmoud, baller, complete baller. So there are some one-offs that you would permit to go into the competition. For example, if let's say the World Cup was next year, the Under-20 World Cup was next year,
Yeah.
are we then going to say that every single member of the 26 or whatever man squad that is taken there should all be eligible for the World Cup? If there are one or two players who are eligible and can help out during the AFCON, but then will be ruled out for the World Cup, you can make such compromises. So I don't really mind. But my issue is, and where I completely agree with Coach, is the mass, and the key word is the mass chopping and changing of squads for various
Because
competitions.
the turnover is like about 60% for each tournament.
Look, on paper, this is the best preparation that any Under-20 team has got.
If you look at
But
the competitions,
If you look at the
they've had to go
competitions, the number of matches they've played, but in practice, it is the
through, it is
worst. Because for me, and I said it here when he got the job as Under-20.
Yeah.
That was even before the Four Nation tournament. Because I had looked at the dates and I said that whilst his team is taking part of singularly the most important preparatory competition ahead of the AFCON, which is the last. They were not, all the rest of the games they played were friendlies.
Yeah.
The last competition, Four Nation tournament, where you should have a chunk of your squad, it was like 3 weeks to the start of the competition, or let's say give or take a month to the start of the competition, where he should have been with his team, properly assessing his squad for the last, to make the most important decision as to who will go to the competition. He was sitting by Otuado and left that job to his assistant and whoever was there at the competition. Then, even the squad that went to that competition, we didn't really get the full complement of the squad.
You're always hiding the team. Hiding the
So
team.
what we
sort
saw
of
was
behavior like that?
from pictures they were posting, from the matches they played, you look at who is
Gross
around,
disrespect.
and then you look, okay, this
Abumo.
guy is here, this guy is here. So
If you see a Fori McCarthy, then
okay,
you go and
check,
take.
he's there.
Look at that.
Ironicel.
He's there.
Bakanti,
Abdul
you know
Suleimana.
that is gross disrespect.
Yeah, it's
Gross disrespect to the
And you
people
see-
of this country.
they succeeded, and when I say they succeeded, they didn't get a backlash at the time because it happened right when the Black Stars were playing, and the Black Stars had got two back-to-back good results. So everybody was talking about the Black Stars. Everybody forgot about the Black Satellites. But it was going on. But I am happy that I said it.
Yeah, you said it.
Before
you were here when you said it.
It didn't blow up because, in fact, and then that very conversation we had, that whole podcast was about Black Stars. But I chipped it in before we went in. So it was said. It didn't make sense to me then. And right now, we've seen how poor the decision-making came on to how it backfired on the team. Now, let me just pinpoint, for me, 2 clear things that backfired. Aside the thing I said when I was sitting there on that day, the fact that the team, the coach is not around, I tweeted something about Chivanyo just to open up the conversation. And when I tweeted it, I was asked on game plan, and I mentioned a couple of other players who I didn't understand why they were dropped going to the competition. Because from checks, those who were in Egypt at the time had not reached 13. Those who were in camp.
Yeah. I'm a share 13. It's true. I'm a share 13.
That thing happened, which was, I think, a week to the competition. There were not 13 players there. Again, according to the checks, they were not sure if the full complement of the squad would make the camp and make the competition. So for me, I was wondering, what kind of negotiation has gone on between the foreign clubs and the FA that you take such a bold decision to bench players who are playing week in, week out in the Ghana Premier League and Division 1 League in favor of players, some of who have never played for Desmond before. It's not that they are not good, though. We know they are good, but they have never played with Desmond before. He doesn't know them, and he's just going to meet them in Egypt. And the first point of contact will be when he has met them in Egypt. So for me, it seemed very iffy. I was very skeptical. So, but obviously, personally,
so if you look at what did he say, is that Desmond? No. You see why he should be sacked? You see why he should be, because he's dancing to the tune of Ketogrego and Co. He's accepting things that naturally no coach will accept. Okay, let me take my own. Let me take them. And let these guys come and let's compete. If they're better than my boys, I'll make a decision on them.
And what you are suggesting is actually the norm, because even for the Black Stars, we have seen pre-tournament camps where we'll go with about 35 players or 28 players. Then 5 or 6 players will drop off. Yeah. So it would not have been out of the ordinary if Ofe had said, you know what, maybe I'm expecting some 5 or 6 players, but I'll still go with 20. Yeah. Then they will come and compete. The best ones
are select.
Look, but now, when you read the CAF regulations on the squad and when you are supposed to submit your list and blah, 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 this is what I suspect. And this morning, I was having a conversation. In fact, from last night, Scott, Gillan and I were having a conversation because I was trying to understand what exactly was going on with the squad and how come we have, because it's not the Black Stars. Like, this is under 20. You can't mess up on this large scale with the under 20, especially. And I was very concerned because, again, it's Desmond. And I know he's smarter than that. So, benefit of the doubt, you are trying to understand what exactly went on. And he was telling me that he suspects that because of the poor negotiation and the timing of the submission, the GFA went ahead to submit the squad. And now their hands were tied. Because Clinton Dodu never showed up. Boache never showed up. The Sheriff boy never showed up. Now, Clinton option on the wide areas, both right and left. If he was in the team, he's a starter.
He starts.
Boache, if he's in the team, he's a starter. Now, look at the makeshift position Ofori McCarthy had to play in the second and then the last game.
Lord as well.
Look at the makeshift position they had to play. That's why if you remember, when you were saying Ofori McCarthy, when was it? During the week, I was like, Charlie, take it cool on the guy. Because for me, I've seen him enough. I watched at least, in fact,
especially under Ofe,
90% of the African games, 2 of them live. 90%, when I say live, I was at the stadium. I watched 90% of them, and I thought he was a super baller. He's played enough times in the Ghana Premier League for us to know he's good enough to be playing.
That's why when he made the list, nobody complained.
No, you see, So when you put him in such a situation, and this is not a friendly match.
Oh, Charlie.
This is a knockout round.
Charlie.
It's a World Cup decider. You win, you've qualified. That's the most important game of the competition. Not the if we had
Like I said,
semi-final, not the final.
this is the most important
The most
game.
important game was that quarter-final.
On your World Cup.
Because our mission was qualify for the
Simple.
World Cup. It wasn't win the AFCON.
No.
No Ghanaian would have cared if we didn't carry the trophy.
And we
wanted
have
to
qualified.
the World Cup. That was the basic requirement of this competition. You don't put him in a makeshift position. Yes. And you see, to be fair to Desmond, he's done it before. But again, this is the most important game.
That's not the place for experiments.
When you look at the two mistakes in quote, and I'm not trying to hold brief for him.
No, that is the fact.
A natural player in that position
Deals
has
with
the
that.
instincts
To deal with that.
The guy was caught ball watching because, for me, he's in a zone that he's not used to.
Also, almost every time, he knows I'm not the last man. There's somebody behind.
Somebody is behind him. The second goal.
Yeah.
His man ran away from him. But he had his eyes on his keeper. And he could see a free defender there. So, if you are not telling him, if you are not calling him
to prompt him
that your man is going past him, because he's not in his natural zone.
Yeah.
It's like putting a center back in the center forward position. The space is there to attack, but the center back may not see the need to attack the space to be able to finish off the chance. Yes, they are all professional footballers, but positions come with skill set and a certain instinct. So for me, I was a bit pained when I was watching that situation. I'm asking myself, if Boachi was there,
he deals with that.
Simple.
He deals with that.
Playing this role, and you go and put Ufori McCarthy, the captain, where he belongs. Push him in midfield somewhere where he belongs. Again, the constant need to fly in Jerry Efriye and out like he's Ronaldo.
Abedi the last time we were doing that, Ghana was doing that. Is for Abedi Pele.
The Kudus owns it. He didn't even show up. Kudus
Abedi Pele. Those days.
I'm saying that. Look, this is an under-20 boy. If you look at the squad, the most stacked area of the squad was the forwards.
Yes.
Aziz Musbah is there. Your friend is simple.
Lord
is there. The Mensa boy who was playing this left wing,
the one who scored against
the
Senegal.
one who scored, he's a forward player. Obetimiabo. But if you dip even Kamal Suleimana's brother Hakim is a forward player. If you dip it and you look at, and I'm personally looking at why Ofe needed Jerry Efriye to play, because in terms of profile, Jerry is very different from Aziz. Aziz would like to stand in the box for invite the ball in. Jerry moves around a lot, and Jerry is your central attacking midfielder's dream, your number 10 dream. Yeah. He's always on the move. If you had Clinton Dodu in the squad, Clinton could easily take up that wide position. And you see, I don't know if people have seen Clinton play like a false 9 attacking midfielder.
He does it.
He's not the best, but he can play. The same way to Hakim, Kamaldeen's brother, can play behind the striker in that hole.
No, we saw him in the first game.
He can play it.
Jerry Efriye didn't play in the first game. We saw him in the first game.
If you have Aziz in there starting with Lord, who is also constantly on the move, and you have your Clinton out wide, there will be constant movement across the front three. So you would not necessarily need your number 9 to do the movement. You would have somebody in the box, especially when we went down 2 goals and we started playing route 1 very early in the game. If Aziz was there, that would have suited our game plan. Then, in the second half, when the Egyptians are tiring, then you can bring on Jerry to shift them around and create even more spaces. It didn't make sense at all that we had to start him at all costs, less than 24 hours after he had arrived in camp, after going to play a league game for his club. I don't
The man was just flying to and fro.
The whole competition, we were there for like 10 days. The guy was just flying in and out. After 2 games, he goes to play a game. He comes back.
What is
and
that?
my point is,
what kind of longer than training sessions?
What kind of negotiation is that? Again, and I'll come to the CAF issue. They too have an issue with them. Again, look at some of the boys that were dropped in Ghana.
Oh, Charlie.
The Asante boy, no?
There's this boy from, is it Bechem or something? I've forgotten the name. Nkrumah boy.
Nkrumah. Asante.
Charlie.
I don't get it. Me, to be frank, it's not every week I watch Ghana Premier League. But if I see baller,
You go see.
you go see baller. If you see somebody who is good,
You see.
you know that the guy is
Nobody
good.
needs to tell you.
First touch, receive and pass.
There are conversations that some people when this whole Black Stars, I said the guy is not good enough for Black Stars, but under 20 day he has
He's
to play.
far better.
Under 20 day.
Obebon is simple.
The boys I see over there, no. And you see, this is Edmond Asante. I'm looking at this thing. I was looking at the Africa games. Africa games that made me fall in love. Everybody fell in love with their small
Yes.
Africa games. When you look at what Mahmoud takes out of this team because of his ineligibility, what does Edmond Asante have that Mahmoud doesn't have? Like if you are removing Mahmoud,
we drop all these balls, but we took Amma Mahama to the tournament.
and look, the added advantage of this Edmond Asante boy, the guy has goals in him.
Yeah.
He's not just a midfielder. The guy has goal. And if you see the kind of goal, like Oselampard,
Screamers.
he knows when to enter the box.
Screamers.
He has a very good technique. Like his understanding of his attacking instinct, when to enter the box, when to pounce on the late runs. No.
So
Fantastic
I had this
baller.
conversation with a friend, and he said maybe in Ofe's mind, he took Ishmaelado.
Oh, but Ishmael is different.
I'm coming. Maybe in Ofe's mind, he has also seen Ishmaelado do what he does and has add goals to his game. And my question was, but beyond the goals, profile-wise, they are very different players.
Yeah.
Amma Mahama, what is his profile? You see, actually, you are not saying the things the way it should be said.
We're talking
The Ishmael boy and the boy is the one Santino. They should all be Amma Mahama. What is his profile level in the team?
So my question was,
You see?
why couldn't he have accommodated both Ishmaelado
Exactly.
and everyone else in
Because
the
they
team?
offer different things.
They are different
And based
players.
on what is look at how he even
No
used.
more-
Look at how he
Ghana,
used
You have to wrap
Aziz.
up in 2 minutes.
Look at how he used Aziz at the Africa Games. And look at how he used Aziz at this competition. Aziz was playing on the right hand side. The guy is not a winner.
Very
He
uncomfortable.
doesn't have pace. Instinct wise, he was always coming inside. Constantly coming inside.
But that's how he scored the goal.
That's how he scored the goal. Constantly coming inside. And when you put my boy Ofri Makati in that right back, sometimes he has to overlap, sometimes he has to come inside. That's not his natural side. So the
They're
entire
just
shape of the
disturbing
team
and worrying
struggles.
the players.
But quick one to Desmond. I understand. Body language wise, it was bad.
It
And I
was
agree
very
with
bad.
you. But in terms of the actual coaching, what he did, poor decisions in terms of selection. But even in spite of that, I thought the team played really well in that second half. I thought we created enough chances to finish off the game. That didn't work. Granted. Extra time. Even with 10 men, I thought he managed the game very well. We were not too expansive. When we went forward, we looked dangerous. But when the Egyptians were coming forward,
We didn't look
we looked
threatening.
we looked very composed at the back and very good enough to deal with the problem. So good job to Desmond. I don't understand. I'm waiting for him, and this is why you see, based on relationships and viewers and listeners need to understand. Look,
Relationship.
to be frank, for example, if something happens to coach, okay, I know coach well enough that if something happens, he's straight talking or bekasa. So if I hear coach somewhere massaging an issue, I will not just jump and blast him. I will call him and try and understand because I know him. Thank you. I know him and I know that what is happening is not coach-like. So because of benefit of relationship, I would reach out and try and understand what exactly is happening. I'm saying that Desmond is smart. I know he's a very smart person. And that decision to keep Hakim out of the first five, look, it is as kindergarten as possible. So, for benefit of doubt,
You're waiting for
I'm waiting for an explanation before I'll fire. Like, I'm not going to stand here and we don't
have
know.
fired.
We don't know.
No amount of explanation.
I'm just
The boy had his foot got broken at the time.
Because you have to move on.
Did he show any Wakaso-like behavior?
his knee.
His knee. I mean, whoa.
No.
The boy was
not holding people. He was saying that he was holding people. You see where he was holding people.
I'm just saying that. As for that one, forgive me, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But Da Costa, when Da Costa was placing the ball, so for me, no, I'm not blaming him. That for me is an indication of a team that didn't prepare for the penalty shootout.
Yeah, you could see
It
that.
is a serious indictment on the entire coaching staff. The fact that they didn't properly prepare for that. But CAF, no, they have shown their true colors to me. After praising them VAR during the AFCON, this is the most symbolic VAR. The goalkeeper came off his line.
Yeah.
And another one.
Yeah, the penalty that they were saved.
The linesman was a lineswoman. I don't know if the whole team were. I think the whole of them were women. If you go and watch the replay of entry that cost us, what is the job of the lineswoman?
What's to
linesman?
the keeper
To watch the keeper. The lineswoman was looking at the player, so didn't see the goalkeeper come off the line, and VAR didn't prompt them to look at the thing again. That's a cheat at this level. It's a serious indictment on CAF, and they should take all their officials for training again. If you are going to put officials at this competition that decides the future of national teams and decides who will go and represent Africa at the World Cup, you can't be joking with officials. It's not just about giving people opportunities. It's about giving competent people opportunities. And this is a kindergarten mistake. It's a serious mistake that has cost a country a place at a World Cup. So CAF need to bow their heads in shame, because this mistake, we will not take it.
Thank you very much, guys. So that's our review of the Black Satellites and that disappointing end to the African Youth Championship. Charlie, it would have been nice to go to the World Cup. More importantly, it would have been nice to see a few more players go into the Black Stars with credibility possibly for the World Cup, because this is how we've always built the next generation of the Black Stars. And as namely indicated, there are a lot of spots that are ripe for taking up in the next year, 2 or 3. Partey's age, a lot of those players in the national team, Jordan Ayew, and all of those are players, but they first need to be guided by the Partey's and the Jordans for a year or 2 before they can
eventually take over.
Unfortunately, as we know, whenever the satellites or the youth teams don't do well, there's like a wholesale clearance. Nobody gets promoted to the national team. I think the last time Fatah was the exception. But we do hope that things change. So leave your comments in the comment section, subscribe, and then share the link. Let us know what you think of the Black Satellites and the circumstances around Ghana's exits. Thank you for watching.